Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department here at MCHD. And I'm talking to Dr. Mike Hoppe. He is the senior pastor of Saraland United Methodist Church. That's him right over there on, let me point over here. Whoops, that side of me. Thanks Zoom for reversing everything. Mike, we've been talking about the Enneagram profile, personality profile. Can you kind of give a quick overview of it before we go into the type 8, the challenger?
Yeah, James, we've been doing a whole series right here on this site together on the Enneagram. So anybody can go back and look at, we did an introductory video, and now we've gone through every one of the 9 personality types that can be found within the Enneagram assessment. Enneagram is a personality assessment that's been around a very, very long time. It's a great assessment. Some people like other assessments. I'm fond of this one. I like this one. And as a pastor, I've used it with my staff. I've used it with my members. I've used it in my family. And I commend other people to use it. And of those 9 different types, once you've taken a test, you can take a test online. Multiple places offer different tests, some for free, some to be purchased. But once you find your number 1 through 9, it's important to know that not one number is better than another number. They're just 9 different personality styles that can be, once you've discovered that, really be helpful in understanding yourself and those important relationships in your life.
Yeah, the Enneagram, we talked about the 9 different personality profile types. And they're laid out in a wheel. It's almost like the Knights of the Round Table. They each have equal parts. So no type is greater than the other. And they're all necessary for us to have healthy mind, body, and spirit along in life. Now, today we're talking about type 8, which is the challenger. And to be honest with you, I know we're supposed to love our neighbor, but I didn't like the type 8 personality at first. There's a lot of qualities there that are just opposite of me. And, they're just kind of standoffish and kind of, well, let's go into that a little bit and that'll make a little bit more sense.
Well, you're right, James. You're a number 2. You've taken the test and you're a number 2. And number 2s are very different from number 8s. They are very different in many different ways. Number 8 is called the challenger. You are a helper. Your personality style is to jump in there and lend a helping hand and, maybe not be the center of focus, but to serve others. Number 8s are very different. They are the take charge kind of people. They are very direct. They're very confrontational. They know exactly what they believe. And in fact, I think of all the personality types, number 8 is for me the easiest to identify. If there are people that have taken their test and I'm trying to guess what they are, I'll say, "Are you an 8?" And they will say, "Yes, I am." It's easy to identify because their personality is so bold and direct and confrontational that it's very different than the other personality styles. And go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a take no prisoners kind of approach.
Well,
I was watching a movie a long time ago and it had the wrestler Roddy Piper in it. And one of his famous lines in there was, "I came here to kick butt and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum." So I mean that's a type 8 type of person to me. They very military, militaristic type of style, or very domineering. And it, to me, unfortunately, what I read about 8s is they want to win at all costs, and those costs that are associated with it are detrimental to relationships unless people know how to work in tandem with an 8. An 8 will do whatever it takes to be successful, and don't care whose heads they step on along the way as they climb their own ladder of success. And like we mentioned, that butts heads with a type 2. You want to help people and get along, and it's not to say that 8s are horrible, terrible people, but they've got to keep those types of things in their personality in check. We talked about healthy and unhealthy. So talk about some of the healthy attributes for an 8.
Well, there certainly are healthy attributes of an 8. As we said, there are no good or bad personality types. None are better or worse than the others. And I think it's helpful for you as a 2 to know that when you encounter an 8, for example, there is something that stirs up within you, and to know that that personality may be different than yours. It doesn't make that person bad or you good. It just, this is why Enneagram can be really, really helpful. But any 8s, yeah, they're strong-willed, they're stubborn, they know what they believe, and they're hard to be swayed. You can't change their opinion very easily. But think about how that can be a positive quality. I mean, there are some men and women throughout history who have literally changed history because they stuck to their guns. They took charge with what they believed or they knew was right, and they've changed our world literally. So without these kinds of people in the world, our world would not be as it is today.
Right. I mean, their personality, since they're so dominant, they also have such a characteristic that people are drawn to them. They want to let them be their leader. Some people have no problem being a follower, just as long as they have a strong enough leader that is making sense. So here's some real life examples of some famous people that are type 8s. FDR, Winston Churchill, Martin Luther King Jr., Lyndon Baines Johnson, Golda Meir, James Brown, Ernest Hemingway, Pablo Picasso, John McCain, John Wayne, Paul Newman, Clint Eastwood. So, you can see, those are very strong personality types there that are 8s. So,
I've even heard of a couple others like Donald Trump and Martin Luther King Jr., right? So these are all very strong personality styles that have waged war or waged peace or started businesses, and they went where no one else with their personality style might have been able to go.
Yeah, they're self-confident, they're decisive, they're able to make a decision and stick to it. So those types of people are necessary. They dominate their environment, and they kind of take control and stay in control of a situation, and that's necessary. I use the analogy of in wartime, but it's necessary to when you're in war, to be able to be in control of your environment, your situation.
So psychologically, what's going on in an 8 is that they're trying to protect they have a fear of vulnerability. They have a fear of, they have a desire to protect themselves. And so it could be said of an 8 that the greatest defense is an amazing offense. And so you'll see these kinds of people really going after others. They may criticize others or lash out at others, but it's a form of defense in a way, because it's an offense. But it's protecting this deep fear of being vulnerable or unprotected. And so I think that's important to know in an 8 is that there is a very, very tender heart underneath that very hard shell. And they are very tender. Give out criticism, but you might notice, if any of you out there know an 8 in your life, that when 8s are criticized themselves, they take it very hard. I mean, it really can undo an 8 to receive criticism. Sometimes it can really take it internally. And that's why I think, so for an 8, one growth area can be to learn how to grow through vulnerability. That 8s, like everyone else, have imperfections and areas to grow, and instead of lashing out, that to understand that our vulnerable part of us is either an opportunity to work better with other people, which is a growth area for 8, to learn how to lean on other people and use their gifts and talents and skills and trust in other people, and also that they can learn to grow through their own maturity in areas where they might be weaker.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that also that I read about eights is, they, for a growth area, they want to take charge, but they have to also realize at the same time that how they got to where they are was with the help of other people. So they've got to be mindful that other people's influences and their inputs are just as important as the success of, you know, I mean, an eight may say something like, there's no I in team, but there's a me, that kind of thing.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but yeah, I mean, all personality types, we can all grow in all different areas. So, like I said, at first, I didn't like eights very much, and I, clashed along with them. But as you learn about the different personality types and you can recognize that, it makes it that much easier. Previously for me, before knowing these things, it's someone I wouldn't have gotten along with. But now that I understand what their motivation is, it makes it that much easier to work with, and it helps avoid a lot of conflict.
It does. If you're working with someone or married to someone who is an eight, you might think, oh, well, my spouse or my coworker is just being a jerk. But it's not just being a jerk. They're living out who God created them to be. They have gifts and talents, strengths and weaknesses like the rest of us. And it's important to identify those kinds of things. Now, normally I've seen eights. Of course, eights can be paired in marriage with any number. I've often seen eights paired with nines in marriage. Nines are the peacemakers, who we'll be talking about next week.
Mhm.
And because nines I'll work well with eights in that kind of relationship. But I'm curious if anyone out there is married to an eight, if that's true for you. But yeah, to be paired with any numbers, it's important to know our own strengths and weaknesses and theirs, so we know how to work best with them.
Right. So eights, much love for you. I have nothing against you, no animosity against you eights out there. You're necessary and you're vital. And when you're healthy, you're doing good. When you're unhealthy, there's things you need to recognize. Which gives me a good segue to, hey, if anybody out there is having an unhealthy time and they need to speak to somebody, they can speak to one of our behavioral health counselors here at MCHD. They can call and make an appointment by calling 251-690-8889, or they can talk to their pastor, their faith leader, their religious organization. They can talk to social services, or a social worker, a trusted friend. But the thing is find somebody that you can talk through things with and confide in. And once you talk to somebody, you realize the world is not, you know, it's a small world after all. The world is not as big as we think that it is. And, at the end of the day, we're all people and we're all just trying to get along. So, Mike, thank you for going over type eights with me here for Wellness Wednesday.
I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to finishing off the whole series as we look at nines next time.
That's right. Thanks again for watching.